And the thing is, when any new weapon, any new character is introduced to a fighting game, it usually is strong at first because people are exploring what you can do with it, and then the counterplay gets developed. So we're going to see as this bracket progresses, as people get more experience fighting this new weapon, how well they're going to be able to play around it, what sort of adaptations they'll be able to make, and we're getting into game one right now.
Yeah, and keep in mind, too, that Kaya was that BCX championship winning pick as well, but it got nerfed a little bit after BCX, so it's going to be putting Blue on a bit of a back heel here to start things off, but luckily, though, Blue does get that early spear. This is a really good start, but Addy, just like going up against Fry, has a lot of offstage ledge guard control that you love to dominate with.
Yeah, and I love to see that kind of aggression. It's like, it's scary to kind of run into a spear because they have that much range that you have to play around, but no fear here from Addy going all the way off stage, showing no signs of slowing down too. Almost gets the first KO here and does end up closing it out. One stock lead here for Addymestic.
And that was completely unarmed too. Blue used every weapon inside their arsenal and nothing was enough here, but battle boots are out now from Addy. It's going to streamline Addy's play. Well, you would think a little bit more onto the ground, but up into the air, Blue's looking for those punishes, finally finds the neutral sig and sends Addy into the sky.
Yeah, I love that call out there from Blue, but I mean, they gotta find the stock here. They're falling further and further behind. We do have Addy on that deep red health, but unless you can close it out, this lead's gonna get extended, but finds the sig, closes it out. 2 stocks apiece.
Yeah, that was a really good start from Blue there too. A little bit of a mini edge guard punish, but again, still a little bit of a damage deficit here. The Tezca pick, of course, on the left side of the stage, trying their best to find those battle boots again. I just love watching the boots because, you know, as someone who essentially grew up with Brawlhalla, I'm not used to seeing the characters kick.
Yeah.
So it's like, whoa.
Yeah, a lot of like physical weapons get some range in there, but no, sometimes feet get the job done. And we already saw in that first stock, you know, Addy's perfectly fine without the battle boots. Now you have them on deck. What can you do once you have this new weapon that's been giving so many players trouble?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's exactly what Blue just did. A lot of startups starting an aerial play, descending down into the ground, going for the offstage punish there. We've seen the signature come out once again. Blue there, taking down that second stock from Addy. This is the first time, at least in a while, Addy on this Tezca pick has been put in the lower stock bracket. Though it's not by much. Gauntlets are there to help punish Blue quite a bit. Ledgeguard was attempted to be there, but Blue was able to kind of have that presence, that pressure to make Addy go back to the center of the stage. Blue does return yet again. Bow is out though, but the battle boots reign true and kicks Blue quite literally off the stage.
And you saw why Blue was playing so careful there. I mean, getting, you know, 1 or 2 hits, not going for too many aggressive dodge reads because you want to hang on to that stock as long as you can. Still in a good position here on this last stock, but we've seen what Addy's capable of. It's still very close, and Addy going so deep as they've done this entire game.
Good lord, oh my. Just off stage again. Combo after combo coming out from Addy. There we go, great spot dodge read against Blue, but Blue is able to evade Addy just in time. Trying to just maintain some distance. Trying to use that spear. But again, the spear requires just so much range to get out of the way, but it's so low on both sides, but Addy's the first one to go down for game 1.
And as soon as Blue can touch the ground, finally, they're able to do something. And you saw how scary it was that they had to be running away that entire time until they find the one opening.
Yeah, and I mean, the spear was such a great tool too, right? Because we talked about how that space, that distance is so important in order to punish an up-close weapon like the battle boots, but maybe that was kind of the thing that Fry wasn't really able to capitalize on. You had a lot of orb, you had a lot of scythe in the previous matchup that Addy just played, but Addy was able to evade that a lot more, rely on those spot dodges, go for a lot more just instant punish play. But again, if Blue can just keep maintaining that space and control, that might be the win condition.
And the thing that's so interesting about this weapon in Europe to me is, from what I've seen about Europe, they're a much, you know, slower region. They take their time. They're very patient. And so when you have these battle boots that are just going to say, all right, I'm going to run you over this entire game, deal with it, I can imagine that's not what these players are used to. It's an entire different play style that they have to adapt to.
You bring up a really good point. You know what that makes me wonder? What can we see from European battle boots when we have international events?
We're gonna work our way through this winter event first. Good reversal here from Blue. Not able to actually get the conversion. Just goes a little bit too far. Addy finds the reversal. First stock going their way.
Yeah, and Blue on the deficit right now, does pick up that spear. Battle boots remaining on Addymestic's feet, but look at this, the punish goes down into the ground pound. There's no chance of recovery from Addy. That was a huge stock gap.
Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of what we saw in the first game, too. You know, Addy took the initial lead, but then Blue finds their footing, able to claw it back. But we're seeing it even earlier this time, you know, much less of a comeback than that initial game. And so if Blue is able to maintain this momentum, it's going to be an even stronger finish to the second game. We're going to have to see what Addy does to adapt back.
Yeah, look at this. Really reactive plays coming out from Blue now. Addy's trying to go in for the aggression. Grounded plays. Good for the punish on Blue's landing. But again, these signatures are not connecting. Good recovery coming out from Addy. Still maintaining Blue into the air. And again, these punishes coming out from the ground pounds, the recoveries. It's just making it so difficult for Blue, and the damage is racking up. Luckily though, Kaya does have a lot of defense, so it's not the end of the world taking a few different hits or two, but at this point, Blue, with how much momentum and velocity is already being made from all these attacks, they have to be very careful, especially off stage here. Okay,
and I do think we're seeing some of the unfamiliarity come into play, because you see Blue going for these reads, just absolute callouts on where Addy is going to go, and then Blue's just wrong. Addy comes in, gets the stock just like that, and they're able to extend their lead. So I think if Addy plays a little bit more patient, tries to play on that, you know, fear factor from Blue, they're going to be able to close out this game much more convincingly.
Yeah, Addy's second stock here is the real litmus test to see, like, okay, can Blue even this up again? I think if Blue can even it up and not taking a lot of damage, this could be game 2 going to Blue's favor. But Addy, again, as long as they can just maintain that second stock, keep it alive a little bit longer. But as I say that, no, the recovery doesn't fully take down Addy. It's a good starter there. A lot of chip damage now applied to Addy's side. Blue, again, the name of the game is maintaining that space. Even the neutrals, and like isn't enough. But there it is. There's another. And Blue didn't take a lot of damage.
Not a lot, but I mean, any is scary. Literally
true.
Any is scary.
Very true.
Because we see Addy going for these offstage, reads, this offstage aggression. And the reason they're doing that is because if it hits, you are done. Your stock is gone. You get KO'd. And so that's always in the back of Blue's mind. That fear is just going to be persistent throughout this entire final stock. And we see Addy starting to press the advantage. Goes a little bit too far for the read, gives Blue stage control, and look at that patience. Look at that just dash backwards from Blue, not trying their luck at all. Only going for what's safe right now.
Really, Blue's looking for impact here. Even chip damage may not be enough against Addy. You don't want to find those punishes, and look at that, the wrong spacing, even in just a few frames, Blue's been taking a wealth of damage. Off stage, we've seen what Addy can do before, but what about into the sky? That's another for Addy's Tezca.
Yeah, and fantastic call out on the jump there. Just beautifully read, 1-to-1 here. I'm really liking this back and forth.
It really makes me wonder, what adjustment can we see from Blue? And we're finally seeing that adjustment. No longer the Kaya pick, now rotating back to the Koji. I like this play. You still maintain the bow. You have a little bit more medium space potential, where the spear wasn't really able to find as much impact as I think you and I were really expecting to see. But I think having something a little bit more up close, but still having great escape options like the sword, I think is a really good way to turn this around.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the spear is, like, you have to maintain this wall in front of you, and if your opponent gets in, it's so hard to escape disadvantage.
Oh, geez. Look at this early beginning here. Blue not able to find that hit. The spot dodge coming up from Addy, not once, not twice, but thrice over. A really good start from Addy here. And now Blue's off stage and now completely off that first stock. And I mean, that might be the biggest advantage we've seen from Addy so far, at least in our block.
Yeah, I mean, Addy's been looking for that this whole set, finally gets the connection, and it results in a massive early lead here. And it's gotta feel so bad if you're Blue, because you've done such a good job avoiding it, but the longer the set goes on, the more time Addy has to analyze how you're dodging off the ledge, analyze, all of those options. And God, we're really seeing it come into full effect here.
Yeah, and Blue really just relying solely on ledge guard punishes right now. Can't find the setup. Double ground pound doesn't work out, but Addy's able to resurrect themselves from the bottom of the stage. And oh, what a punish there. Off stage yet again. Blue almost had that first stock off of Addy in the bag, but now look at this ultimate punish just on the left side of the stage. Trying to do anything to recover back on, just barely making themselves back onto the ledge, but even then, barely on the main stage proper.
Yeah, and we do see Blue finally waits long enough for the jump call out from Addy, gets back on that way. But, you know, how many times is that trick going to work? It's basically like a 50-50 that you're in a perpetual state of. But if you're touching the wall, you can only stay there for so long before you have to come back on.
Yeah, and gotta
There's
say,
the
the
jump
bow
read.
hasn't really been able to find a lot viable. Look at that off stage yet again. The ledge fully in Addy's control, keeping the battle boots. We've barely seen, we pretty much have only seen the battle boots since that opening unarmed stock in the very first game.
And I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's
True.
working so well right now. Sure, you go down a stock here, but like you have a full stock lead to work with. And the onus is on Blue to find an opening, and it can be kind of hard to do that. It's scary to go in to those battle boots because you know what they're capable of, but you have to be the one pressing your advantage. And we do see small opening here, but not able to really keep it going.
Absolutely. Blue trying to hold on to this final stock. Addy's already won the last 2 games. It's up to Blue to try to at least find a little bit of impact here in this series. But again, the battle boots, it's been so dominant. Whether you're on the main stage, in the ground, in the air, or even on the left or right sides of the stage, or even off stage, it's up to Blue. There's no safe spot whatsoever.
Yeah, and it really feels just like one mistake from Blue is the end of the game. They're off stage now. Is Addy going to be able to capitalize off of that? No, just lets them back on. And that's the thing is, again, Addy doesn't have to go hard, but they can. And that's what's so terrifying.
I mean, it feels so effortless watching Addy string up together all these different combos off of the battle boots. This could be the final play from Blue here. Great, okay, sending Addy back into the air. A really good starter from Blue. There it is, second stock is gone. This might be the miracle play we were looking for, Bio.
And, I mean, you gotta keep Addy away from those boots. That's your one saving grace, but no spawns directly on top of him. You hate to see it. Still, not necessarily the boots, but, you know, a weapon at this late in the game with your health that far into the red. Dangerous. Chucks him away. Boots on deck. And that's all you need. That's all you need.
Luckily, though, it's not out of the woods just yet for Blue. He did win 1 game, so it's still a competitive series. But I gotta say, these battle boots, they're warming up more and more. And I did like the Koji adjustment, even though it didn't fully work out. I think my main issue with it is really just the bow, because we didn't really see a lot of bow presence when the Kaya pick was out. But now swapping away from the Koji back over to the Kaya, I'm really hoping we get to see a little bit more bow action come out now that Blue seems to be very much adjusted to Addy's boots.
Yeah. I mean, the first 2 games were close. It was 1-1.
Oh, yeah.
But it was much more competitive than that game 3. So I definitely understand going back, just not having the full confidence in the Koji.
Yeah, but this Kaya pick again. Yep, close and personal didn't work out too well when Addy was just able to punish you over and over again. But Blue with the setups here off this spear. A very different player now. Look how much more confidence it feels like are coming out, especially from the spear play. We'd seen the ledge guard come out from Kaya. A good spacing control again. These punishes against Addy. The battle boots have not been able to find that entry.
Yeah, and look at the spacing here. Like, this is what you need to do when you're on that spear. Just maintain that constant distance. And they're doing it perfectly.
And Blue takes that first stock. A really important lead right now. Let's see. The Gauntlets making a rare appearance here in this series. It's a good starter, but again, we're seeing a lot more adjustments being made. Blue certainly have faced Gauntlet players year in, year out for many, many years. Doesn't have to worry about them too much longer. Addy's going to remain going back unarmed.
I think this is the first time we've seen, you know, the Kaya in the lead. It was usually like a comeback in the first couple of games. So now that you have that range and you have the lead to work with, you're able to play that much better.
And now look at this. It's almost evened up again. A little bit more damage applied to Addymestic. Really good string. A good N-Sig. And a wow! What a good combo.
Was it off the weapon toss?
Yeah, it was off the weapon toss. A great trajectory up above. It just kind of locked Addy in.
Beautiful stuff here. And like you said, that confidence coming into full effect. There's always that fear in the back of my mind of the overconfidence, you know, throwing that lead away, but it's not looking like we're seeing any of that here.
No, if anything, this is just the perfect amount of confidence that Blue needs right now. Addy does have those battle boots again, is able to go for the ledge guard. And this is like the Addymestic special.
No.
That ground pound. You don't want that if you're Blue right now, but this isn't the first time we've seen it either. That is, again, the Addy special. We've seen at least 3 of those so far, at least in the streams today. The Blue's high in the sky. Luckily, though, not a lot of damage applied, but you still got to be very, very careful. Does a lot of damage so quickly with these boots, kicking you in the face, up into the air, down to red already. Blue has barely touched the ground.
Blue can't get a weapon.
No,
finally
but
picks
finally
up the spear, but like, look at how much damage that they've taken in the process.
Remember, Kaya's a beefy girl. You can have a lot of defense, but you gotta make sure you can make that defense count. Addy, again, full pressure of the entire stage, sends Blue away. Recovery used so early on, but luckily though, gets the cling onto the ledge. It's up to Blue to go for the ground pound, try to keep this series alive, bring themselves back to an even game overall. But again, the ledge, it makes me nervous.
Do we see
Addy
the jump
playing the
read?
patient game. A good side air. It's gonna send Blue back over towards the ledge, but again, that space, it only benefits Blue. Addy's trying to find that entry point, he's unable to do so. Tries to go in for the air, but there it is. Blue brings it back.
That was so terrifying for Blue, and we have a game 5 first set. You love to see it. And I mean, if it wasn't for that first stock from Blue, I mean, that's a 3-1. GG's go next. But yeah, fantastic composure. Even after that explosive comeback from Addy, Blue still managing to close out that game 4, and we are into our final game of the set. Oh, I can't wait.
I mean, now we're at the point where we have to see what adjustments Addy can make over Blue, because that spear was just so dominant in game 4. So we're gonna have to wait and see. The battle boots might be taking a bit more of a backseat. The gauntlets really hasn't made much of an appearance in this series, but there were glimmers of it in game 4. So I'm hoping maybe, you know, with the boots having 68% of all the attacks being done, we haven't seen much gauntlets, but we do actually start out with the gauntlets here from Addy. A little bit less pressure than we have seen from the boots, but Blue's able to take advantage with using the bow. Luckily, though, Blue loves the entry from the air, and so Addy's able to use that with the Nair in order to just bring them back down to the ground. But again, it's down to this next weapon. Will it be a spear, or is it going to be the boots? Nope, we return again with the bow. Oh, yeah. No, I'm sorry. It's the boots.
I think Blue is trying to toss the weapon there, get the spear, because like you said, you know, the bow hasn't been super impactful throughout this set. It's kind of been an awkward weapon choice for them to use, but it's all you got right now against these battle boots. You got to make it count. But the read with that SIG is not what the doctor ordered. Blue just trying so desperately hard to escape.
Oh, no.
Yo.
Blue
Same
has
situation
no
we saw at
weapon.
the end of last game.
Okay, but Blue's going much more evasive, not going for the instant punch, just trying to stay as far away from Addy as possible. But even then, Addy was still able to find that punish. But Addy does have that lead in game 5. Not by much, though. If Blue gets that spear back, this could be one singular string away from tying up the game. But again, instead, it's the bow. Blue.
And that's the big if. You know, can they get the spear? Because, like, I think
Yes!
Addy's done a very good job of catching on to the fact that, you know, the spear is the preferred weapon here. But now, full control of the weapons right now. Actually tossing the spear away.
I think that's
making
good
the call to
against
stick with the
unarmed.
bow, yeah.
I think that's a good choice, because you want to go up close and personal here. Addy's a very brute forces kind of player right now, especially with how overly aggressive they are. And you mentioned it yourself, not something we see a lot in European Brawlhalla. But if Blue can just kind of go toe-to-toe for that, match the aggression with this bow, overextending Addy off the stage, Blue nearly finding that punish, but had to grab the other weapon to prevent any sort of, you know, juggling that could happen around.
And we see so close in health right now.
Ship damage. Look at this. Blue's not going for combos anymore, just relying solely on like singular hits, shoving Addy away, disengaging and re-engaging again at a bit of a reset. Blue throws the weapon away though. It's a dangerous game to play against the gauntlets, and now the battle boots are back in Addy's favor. Up into the air, the perfect spot Addy wants Blue to be in if it's not off stage. But the bow returns, spot dodge, trying to reset the battlefield here. Goes for the punish, Addy off stage.
And this is so crucial. Like this moment right here. Still, Addy manages to make it back on. They're both just fighting for center stage control right now. Addy not able to make it to the weapon, and that was perfectly spaced. Blue gets the stock lead, has full control of the weapon, still respecting the unarmed from Addy. See those gauntlets come out, but like, oh, that has to feel good.
Blue doesn't just have the stock lead. Blue has the series lead. It's game 5. It's Addy's final stock. It's all
the
down
pressure.
to this.
All the pressure in the world is on right now.
It's amounting. And again, it's not even the preferred weapon that Addy has. It's the gauntlets. It's not even the battle boots or even unarmed, but the recovery into the air. It sends Blue far away, but it's not enough to confirm the second stock. Addy's taking a wealth of damage, and the punish is there. The ground pound comes out. Wow! A game of adjustments, a game of learning, and a game of taking over the battle boots.
So much back and forth in the final moments of that game. For the one mistake, the one read from Addy trying to pull themselves back into the game, and Blue instantly gets the exact punish they need, closing out the set. Fantastic play.
I mean, we were talking about Addy so much because right before you and I started casting, we had seen a miraculous game with the battle boots and a completely different tempo that we don't normally get to see in the European side of Brawlhalla. But Blue, again, the punishes.